It's called, supposedly, there was this whole war that they had long ago that had to do with ethnic cleansing. I guess you've never heard of it before, but this pretty much talks about it.
Christians and Black Africans in the Nuba Mountains. As Gary Lane tells us, the violence is part of President
You
Omar
may not have
al-Bashir's
heard that.
Great report. In Sudan, the Islamist government continues its attacks against Christians and Black Africans in the Nuba Mountains. As Gary Lane tells us, the violence is part of President Omar al-Bashir's decades-long pursuit of ethnic and religious cleansing.
Sudan's Nuba Mountains used to be a serene place, one where Muslims and Christians lived side by side in peace, eking out a living from farming. But this is their experience in 2015. For more than 2 decades, Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has waged war against the people of the Nubas and South Kordofan state. Muslims and Christians alike have resisted his efforts to Arabize and Islamize them. They believe he sees them as infidels. He wants to kill them and seize their oil. Sudanese Christian human rights activist Namia Ibrahim Shaloka says many Americans mistakenly believe that fighting ended in the Nubas when South Sudan gained independence nearly 3 years ago. He says the opposite is true. The war against his people is escalating.
Every day is daily air bombardment, destroying the school, even the facilities, health centers, churches, and everything.
According to the news service Nuba Reports, Sudan government bombings in the Nuba Mountains increased from 28 in November 2013 to at least 120 just 2 months later. Late last month, a barrage of 48 rockets hit a school and near the marketplace in the city of Kauda. While no one was killed, the Nubans were alarmed by Bashir's new preferred method of attack, parachute bombs. Parachute bombs are more deadly because they're much quieter and less noticeable when they fall from the sky.
It's just like totally focusing to destroy the life of the people, and they target even the civilians. They don't focus in anything else. This is the situation.
Religious freedom advocate Tina Ramirez of the nonprofit group Hardwired says Sudanese President Bashir is at the heart of every Sudan conflict, from Darfur to the Nuba Mountains and the Blue Nile.
The conflict is not between Muslims and Christians, it's between Bashir and his version of Islam that's extremely oppressive and everybody else in Sudan. And that includes South Sudan. So he's constantly pitting groups off of each other and instigating problems even in South Sudan.
The International Criminal Court has issued a warrant against Bashir for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So far, the Sudanese president has avoided arrest.
And we're not doing anything to bring him in. So what can we do as the U.S.?
As the church or as non-governmental organizations, we can come alongside the people of Sudan to ensure that they have the training to articulate true human rights and freedom and to have a constitution that really respects that for everyone. Without religious freedom, there will be no peace in Sudan.
For Christians and Muslims alike, from Khartoum south to the Nuba Mountains.
So yeah, they definitely did target the Black African populations of Sudan, North Sudan. As you could see, the Black African people were the people getting bombed and so forth. North Sudanese people specifically, as you saw, like Bashir and so forth, do not identify with Black people. That's why they target Black Africans, because they do not identify as Black Africans themselves. They identify with their Arab side. So that's why they are in, like, they prefer Arabization and so forth of their country. They do not want their country to be very Black, basically. So my whole point was that reading from where this all came from. We were talking about the racist allegations of fresh and fit and that whole thing. I was addressing the fact that the North Sudan, specifically exterminated black people, that there's a lot of racism, obviously, against black people in that country, specifically since less than a decade ago they were bombing their black people. So they were literally actively trying to exterminate their black people. And I just wanted to show you that, basically, for fair use. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, there is racism in North Sudan against black people. So it's not a shock if a North Sudanese person were to be racist towards black people. Also, I will say this too. A lot of the time, if you look at historically, as far as colonization of North Sudan and many other, well, places outside of just Sudan, um, the people who specifically were perceived to be mixed, I guess you could say, were held at a higher level and were treated better by the colonizers and things of that type over the black African people. Um, and that happened to many different countries. Like, this is why there were even people who weren't Saharan, for example, because you understand how the race was split up for the Caucasian race and so forth, you'll see that it has a lot to do with the colonial ideology, I think, to some extent, or they had a similar mindset as what was originally split off as Caucasian. Specifically, they included anyone who was of North African ancestry. So they even included the mixed people, basically. And many Sudanese people are mixed with North African. That's like their main thing. And then it's some Arab when they take DNA tests, basically. That's usually what they get. And then they have some sub Saharan African ancestry. So they included mixed people, basically. And I think they included mixed people to specifically divide and conquer, basically. So then they could divide the mixed people, the Saharan people, basically, in those countries from the black African people. And you'll see in other countries, northern African countries, there will be like other countries like Chad, Niger, Mali, Mauritania, and so forth. And you will find many of the Saharan Africans will own like slaves and so forth to the sub-Saharan African people, um, and things of that nature, because they do have that kind of mentality, I guess. They still have that racist ideology towards black people. So, I mean, I think North Sudan specifically, though, had more of an extreme reaction, obviously, by trying to exterminate the black people instead of just enslaving them. You know, they literally didn't even want them to exist, which is more extreme, obviously. And you could say maybe the reason for that is because in North Sudan, the majority of people are Saharan, while in other countries, the Saharan people are usually spread about, so they're not actually a minority. I mean, a majority, basically. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say in this video. I just wanted to point out that, yes, I wasn't just making it up, but there was specifically ethnic cleansing in North Sudan that specifically was having to do with the fact that they did not like the black people in their country. They tried to exterminate them, and they tried to ethnically cleanse themselves of black people in their country. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.